Welcome to this 26th day of Lent. It's snowing outside. Won't be doing any gardening just yet, will we? Just before this latest snow came, I noticed in our front flower bed we had flowers already coming up out of the ground, and I'm sure many of you have that same thing. Those branches are budding forth. It's like Easter this spring. It's really exciting to watch. When things spring forth like that, I think of the nurturing that they had, the rain and the sun, the good soil. Our scripture today comes from Mark chapter 4, verse 20, where it says, "And these are the ones sown on the good soil. They hear the word and accept it, and bear fruit, 30 and 60 and 100-fold. Bearing good fruit from good soil. I think of so often I hear these words from people who are raising their children, and they decide that perhaps that they don't want to influence their children. They want to make up their own mind on what they want to do about church and things of faith. So they don't take them to church. Somehow they think that might influence them somehow in a certain way. But I think we all know we never get called to or get excited about something that we're never exposed to. It's unfortunate because that is an opportunity for youth to find rich soil. When they get into their teenage years, often they're not looking to plant just yet. But the time comes when that need to come home to a spiritual place, a place of good soil, becomes more important to them. And they have a place that's familiar, available, welcoming, and accepting. That's the good soil. We had a farm property that we rented when we were in Oak Lake, and the owner of the land was very accommodating. Pretty much anything we wanted to do. We raised a couple of steers, and it was a great experience. But we wanted to plant a garden, and he said, well, wherever you like, as big as you want. He didn't really care. So we had this large grassed area, and so I set about rototilling this grassed area under. And as I rototilled, I hit a piece of chain. So I pulled up the piece of chain, and you have to remember this was a working farm. So who knows how many generations of equipment has been pulled over this particular piece of land. I rototilled a little further and I hit some glass. Then I found a homemade wind chime, if you can imagine. Cheryl didn't let me keep it. However, the little further I went, more and more stuff I was hitting and pulling out of the ground. It was kind of a neat thing, nothing valuable, never hit any gold nuggets or fancy coins or diamond rings. All rusted pieces of metal. But it was kind of curious looking at them, wondering, what was this? What was this used for? Some of it still baffled me today. But that soil at first looked like it was rough and barren. Wondered what could possibly grow in this ground. But we chewed it up, we planted into it, and that garden grew abundantly. It was a feast. It was an amazing garden. And every year we grew a little bit more, and we added a little more to the edges of it, a little bit bigger. We had plants that were growing right out of the garden. The squash was just crazy. It grew all over into the grass. When I mowed the lawn, I had to make sure I go all around it to avoid running over any of the plants. That soil looked rough, but with nurturing, with some tilling, it became good soil. So even those that are perhaps raised outside of the church, we're not talking kids, we could be talking adults, your neighbors. Church might be a place for them. They just haven't experienced it yet. No one has tilled that good ground with them yet. Invite them to come and experience what a day in the life of church could be for them. There could be some resistance at first. Maybe it's fear or uncertainty or doubt or even questioning about what it is all about. Perhaps they'll walk in and they'll think everyone will look and stare at them and going, they've never been to church before. Assure them that no one came to church until the first time. It becomes a welcoming and a nurturing place. So even that rough ground, good things can grow. May it be so on your day. Let us pray. Holy God, we give thanks for those that till the ground, till the good earth to grow in abundance, the fruit of the land. We ask that we be welcomers, inviters, and cherishers of that land, of that creation, to help people come to it and see that they too can grow and be nurtured by the good soil. In the name of your Son, this is our prayer. Amen. Go about on this blessed 26th day of Lent,